Bill, can I stick this? Hey, Lois. How are you?
I was assuming that, but
What's that?
I still have a couple minutes. Okay, is everybody comfortable? Perfect. Okay, let's get this started. Welcome to the Municipal Forum, presented to you tonight by the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce and the City of Beaumont. We are gathered here today to engage in meaningful dialogue with the candidates who seek to represent us in our local government. My name is Ron Hanchrak, and I'm the president of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce. Excuse me. I'd like to take the time to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 territory. We honor the long-standing relationship with the Indigenous nations that we've had with this land, and we commit to working together toward reconciliation and mutual respect. So tonight's forum is for all Beaumont businesses and residents to hear from our candidates and to learn about their vision for our community. The live stream of tonight's event has been sponsored by the City of Beaumont. Before we proceed, let's take a moment to welcome the candidates who have dedicated themselves to public service by running in this election. Their commitment to our community is commendable, and we appreciate their presence here tonight. We will begin this evening by hearing from our councilor candidates, and then we'll move on to the mayor candidates. Now, here's a fun fact I want to share with you. In a fun twist, 5 of the candidates that are running in this municipal election this year, that is as candidates and for trustees, have at one time served on the chamber board, which just goes to show that once you've joined the chamber, you never really get to leave. You just eventually run for office. So if there's anyone that's thinking about joining the chamber board, we have openings. There's clearly never been a better time. It might be just right for those of you that want to step into politics. So it is my pleasure this evening to introduce somebody that I have known for the better part of 50 years, our moderator for tonight. His name is Ken Cobley. He was the president and CEO of the Alberta Chambers of Commerce from February 2005 to 2022. I don't know how he did it that long. I've only been at this just a little over a year. Over 17 years of speaking for the Chambers of Commerce Federation, which represents more than 25,000 businesses in Alberta, Ken developed the ACC profile, as the Canadian Chamber of Commerce executive for the year. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Ken. He has developed a strong and consistent voice for Alberta businesses. Provincial, national, and international media regularly turn to the ACC for comment on business-related issues. Now, Ken has a background in accounting, serving as a member of the Provincial Board of Certified General Accountants in Alberta and as president from 88 to 89 in recognition of his service. Ken was honored as one of the 100 Canadian CGAs who have made a difference. He was also awarded a life membership and fellowship. He is a recipient of the Queen's Golden Jubilee Citizen Medal, as well as the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal. He was recognized as one of Alberta's 50 most influential people in 26 by the Alberta Venture magazine and was recognized. Oh boy. I'm sorry, folks. My papers got messed up here. Ken has spent 2 decades on the Municipal Government Council for the city of Beaumont and was mayor for the town for 12 years. He continues to live in Beaumont with his wife, Peggy, and 4 children and 6 grandchildren. Ken and Peggy have lived in Beaumont for nearly 50 years. So if you would join me in welcoming Ken Cobley to the lectern. Sorry.
All right. Well, it's really nice to see a whole lot of people that I haven't seen for a number of years. I'm pointing at a few of them there. It's really good to see you vote, and just the fantastic turnout this evening shows that, as always, Beaumont is engaged in the municipal process. So welcome, everyone. And I got to tell you that I'm much happier being on this side of the microphone than on that side of the microphone. So, guys, in 20 years of moderating forums like this, I've never lost a candidate yet. Okay, so we're just going to get into a few of the rules. We've covered off these rules with the candidates. So tonight's forum will provide an opportunity for us to get to know the candidates, understand their positions on key issues, and gain insight into the visions for our community. We will cover a range of topics from local governance to community development. Thank you to everyone who has submitted questions ahead of time, and we encourage you, the audience, to actively participate. We have a few volunteers who will be circulating in the room for you to submit your questions. Can the volunteers hold up their hands? Okay, good. If you have a question to submit, please hold up your hand. An usher will bring questions. We'll bring a form to you to put your questions on. Please keep in mind that all questions should be directed for all candidates, as we cannot guarantee that they will be directed to a certain candidate. To ensure that tonight's forum runs smoothly and fairly, we've established a few ground rules. We have a large number of candidates running in this election, and for that reason, we will not have each candidate answer all of the questions that have been submitted. We've randomly selected 3 to 4 candidates to answer each question. Each candidate will have a limited time to respond to each question, and our timekeepers will ensure that these rules are upheld. We kindly ask that the audience maintain a respectful and inclusive atmosphere throughout the event. Any questions deemed inappropriate, offensive, or derogatory, or that would seem to attack the integrity of any candidate will be ruled out of order. Calling out of another candidate will result in the opportunity for that candidate to respond. So actually, this is a clause that I put in when I had chaired a municipal forum in a major municipality, and I had 2 candidates go right after each other on stage, calling one a flip-flopper, the other one a liar, and as you can imagine, it digressed from there. So, if a candidate calls somebody out, that person who was called out will get the opportunity to respond. Answers to questions will be limited to 1 minute to maximize the number of questions that could be fielded in the time allotted. Here's another kicker. Any applause from the audience and during a presentation from a candidate, their timer will continue to progress. So if you decide to applaud in the middle of a response, you're basically cutting off their opportunity to speak. So candidates will have 1 minute after the question period to summarize their platform, so at the end of the evening. Or they can use this opportunity to address a question that they may want to respond to that they weren't called upon to comment on. Oh, and the other thing is, if somebody decides that they're going to heckle a candidate, I will restart that candidate's time so that they don't lose their time from that. So we're going to begin with their introductions of our candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, share their background, and highlight their motivations for seeking office. We have one councillor candidate who is unable to be here in person. Catherine Hott has submitted a 2-minute introduction. We will begin with, and I'll get the sound booth to roll that one.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Hott. I wish I could be there. I love a good forum, and I've hosted a couple myself. The reason for my absence is I made a promise to my mother, a bucket list trip for her birthday in October that I gave her last Christmas. You don't know how long you have with your mom, so I needed to make this happen. And then I decided to run for council. However, one of my key priorities is support for seniors and caregivers. One of my most important seniors is my mom. So while you are there, I'm in the middle of the Pacific Ocean celebrating her. Speaking of core values, I live by my 5 C's: commitment, communication, collaboration, caring, and staying cool under pressure. I believe that all issues and challenges can be dealt with using these 5 C's, whether that is Beaumont's incredible growth, the land use bylaw, density, or the other challenges that we are facing. Effective communication and collaboration is key. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so listening on both sides is needed, whether that is with our regional partners, developers, school boards, or city administration. And we can't make decisions without first seeing the impacts elsewhere. Along with some critical thinking and creative problem-solving topics that I facilitate as well, we can overcome some of these challenges. Do as you've always done, and you'll get the same results. And speaking of results, what gets measured gets managed. And this requires change. I'm an entrepreneur, a coach, author, and training and development professional with a track record of success. I've worked with both nonprofit and for-profit, coaching small businesses, training veterans, and helping individuals with barriers get jobs. I facilitate many topics like idea mapping, conflict resolution, embracing change, and more. I've served on many boards, recently as the president of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, Empowering Women Entrepreneurs, and Edmonton Global. I value working with a great team and getting things done right. My passions and key priorities are on my website, hotforbeaumont.ca. They include economic prosperity, community investment, support for seniors and caregivers, and grassroots advocacy. My skills and experience bring a new look and perspective to champion what's working and find solutions for what's not, so we can see a successful way forward for Beaumont.
Okay, thank you in absentia because she stayed under her 2 minutes. Jen, does that has a countdown on it too, right? So candidates, just every once in a while glance up at that timer so that you know how much time you got left, okay? Or not, and get the beep at the end, which is kind of rude. But first candidate is Bill Daniluk. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. It's a great turnout, as Ken mentioned earlier, and Ron also. Candidates, congratulations for running, and good luck. It's a great office, public office, a great calling, and hope you all do it very well at it. So I have been your mayor for 4 years now. I've absolutely loved the experience. I love being mayor. It's been an incredible experience for me to serve my community. And I work every day at City Hall. I can't wait to get to work every morning and be mayor. But I've really enjoyed the experience. So you may be wondering why I'm not running for mayor again. So I'll briefly tell you why as part of my introduction. I'll be 64 in February. That's when you said to yourself, I don't look that old, but I am that old, almost 64. I thought I'd retire around 61, but I thought I ran for mayor and loved the experience. But it came down to, do I want to work 4 more years full time and be retired at 68? I really thought about over the summertime. I vacillated back and forth because I love being mayor, I love being on council, but working full time for me in the next 4 years just didn't seem what I wanted to do. I want to spend more time with my wife. I think she's here. I think that's a good idea. Spend time with my wife, do some traveling, do some charity work, and do some board work. So for me, it seemed at a good time in my life to take a step back and become semi-retired, which for me meant doing something more than working full time. So for me, continuing to serve on council is very important. I love Beaumont. I love working for the residents of Beaumont, and I have 8 years experience on city council. There'll be some new councilors this year. I'll be the only councillor with 8 years' experience. Steve's got almost 8 as well. But anybody else serving on council will have 2 years' experience or no experience at all. So I hope to serve on a council to help mentor the new councillors with any help they may need to get them up to speed a little faster. We're going to have a new mayor this year too, and I hope to be able to serve that new mayor with dignity and grace and help them do the best job they possibly can as mayor going forward. So some of my priorities, oh, it's 4 seconds left, so thanks. I'll say my priorities as a candidate for my summation at the end. Thank you for listening.
Perfect. Next candidate is Elaine Devine.
Thank you. I'm running for Beaumont City Council because I believe it's time for change. I've lived in and around Beaumont my entire life. I love this city, but I see that there's been poor planning and closed-door decisions and how that's had effect on our neighborhoods. And I think that's not okay. I'm not a career politician, but I'm a problem solver. I've led teams and I bring results, and I'm ready to do that for the city of Beaumont. I have over 20 years of operations and project management experience. I've led multi-million-dollar projects in infrastructure and project management, as well as structural steel projects, and I believe that I can bring this experience to the city of Beaumont. I have a marketing diploma, a bachelor in business administration. I'm currently finishing my MBA, and I believe that with my background, my knowledge, we can bring the end to the cycle of a community that is not being listened to, and I think that we need more accountability on every level in Beaumont, and that's what I will bring to the city. So on October 20th, please vote for change in Beaumont and vote Elaine Devine. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Paul Hyde.
Thank you, Ken, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event. This is fantastic to see so many people engaged. We all love Beaumont. That's why you are here and you're watching at home, so thank you for coming and paying attention. The truth is, Beaumont is a bedroom community that is a great place to raise our families and get away from the big city issues. We all live here for the same reasons: the open spaces, the great communities, the amazing neighbors that care about each other. So lately, we've strayed a bit from that vision and need to get that back, but how do we do that? If elected, I promise to dig deep into the building and land use bylaws to ensure the developers and builders stop taking advantage of our city. It is important for us to connect and to protect our mature neighborhoods, our landscape, and heritage for future generations. Look, I know that trust is not easily gained and very easily lost. I want you to know you can trust me to be that strong voice at council meetings and addressing your concerns and opinions. Beaumont is still a coveted city. We just need to keep it that way. Thank you again for being here and also for watching at home.
Thanks, Paul. Next up is Pamela Henson.
Hello, Beaumont. My name is Pam Henson. I've lived in the community since 1980, so I understand the past and I understand where we are today. My biggest focus for us here in Beaumont is that when we say we're supposed to be accountable, we need tools in order to make the councillor or the mayor accountable. And what I've done is I have signed a pledge for the citizens to have a tool to be able to make the councillor or the mayor step down. But it's for me. My pledge is 50 plus 1 of the people who vote in this election basically can make me step down. If somebody else here would like to sign it too, then you would have a full town council with mayor that would be able to make the person accountable. I really believe in it. We do have a recall act, but that act is unattainable. So this is my pledge to you guys that I will be accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Anthony Colesmith.
Hello. Sorry, can you just turn the clock? I can't see it. Thanks. Hi, Beaumont. Bonsoir. Thank you to the Chamber for organizing this event, and thank you, Mr. Cobley, for moderating. My name is Anthony Colesmith, and I'm running for Beaumont City Council. My ties to the community go back to the late 90s when I came here in grade 10 to attend high school in French immersion. That's where I met some lifelong friends and a really pretty girl in my chemistry class who would later become my wife. After we moved away, we established careers and started a family. Marge and I decided to move back to Beaumont 9 years ago with our young family because we wanted them to go to school here, we wanted them to live here. And in the last 9 years since we've lived here, the town's grown a lot. There's been a lot of growth. Not all of that growth has been well received. And I'm committed to ensuring that that future growth is done responsibly, that it's done fairly, that it's done with consideration to our current residents, to our neighborhoods, our ability to deliver services, and to the character of our community. I'm also dedicated to identifying efficiencies and exploring avenues and options to minimize the tax burden on our residents and on our businesses. And I understand that this role is about service. It's about representing everyone and making sure that your voices are heard and that people have a say in how our city grows and the shape it takes. I wanted to run for city council because this city's given me so much. It's had a big impact on my life and I'd like to give back. And I hope you'll work with me to foster a bright future for Beaumont. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Next up is Aaron McCormick.
Life is better in Beaumont. That is our claim to fame. But is life better here? I, for one, still feel that way. Hi, my name is Erin McCormick, and I'm the president of the Parent Association and the School Council at the high school. I'm concerned about the amount of students being, the capacity in all of our current schools with regard to city growth. Our class sizes are getting bigger and bigger with each coming year, while students, teachers, and staff are the ones taking the brunt of it. Their safety is also a concern with these growing numbers. We are a community of families, yet when I moved here over 20 years ago, every pizza joint and fast food place was employed by high school students. Today, most people who work here don't live in Beaumont. Our teens and young adults have to get vehicles and try to find work somewhere in Edmonton or Leduc. I would like business owners to know that if they expect us to shop local, we expect them to hire local. 20 plus years ago, the community rallied around bringing a splash park to Beaumont. They fundraised and the town gave the rest to build it. This brought the community together, and we all took pride in that spray park. In the future, I would like to see more of this community involvement in projects that they want or we want around the city. It was brought to my attention that there's a group of people who want to bring a women's shelter to Beaumont. 10 beds would be one home. If the community got together to fundraise for what they want and the city matched their contributions, that would be a way for to be more fiscally responsible from the city while building a sense of pride and accomplishment in the community. A current project that has been in effect is the St. Jacques Heritage House Museum. Carol Hudson and her team of community members really stepped up to preserve our Beaumont history and help us to find our own roots. Working together, we can keep on making life better in Beaumont. Together, we can optimize community. Together, we can achieve more with responsible spending and reasonable growth. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Next up is Kim Murray.
Tant que nous avons devenu ville, les citoyens ont rassemblé en communauté, en foi et en patrimoine francophone. Ces caractéristiques sont importantes à nos citoyens même aujourd'hui. When we moved here 12 years ago, my husband and I and our 3 small children loved the opportunities that Beaumont offered. We felt safe and connected to this small community. Recently, I feel Beaumont has strayed from our roots, and I am deeply disappointed. Beaumont as a city has focused too narrowly on growth and expansion and has failed to recognize the costly effects to its residents especially over such a short amount of time. Typical challenges within a growing community are to be expected, but as I speak and engage with more of our neighbors, I see a growing disconnect between residents and council, as well as council and administration, and as well as within Mr. Administration itself. There was a time not so long ago that a member of the community could count on services being rendered and a communication between departments, streamlining the daily efforts of our city employees. This no longer happens, and we're facing increased challenges as we navigate ongoing housing developments that affect our traffic, our schools, our services, and ultimately our cost of living and quality of life. I know Beaumont can do better. Our focus needs to be first to change our municipal plan, to provide the framework for administration. Secondly, to update the bylaws that, especially our land use bylaw.
And that's your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Kim. Next up is Nathan Natalenbos.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ron. I do not think it's fair you guys don't have a time limit. The fact that I have a bit of a time limit here, but highly respect you guys, so appreciate this. In short, why Nathan Natalenbos? And thanks, Ken, for getting Natalenbos right. I get Nintendo Box and a lot of other terms for my last name. Doesn't matter as long as you vote Natalenbos. But starting off here, first off, me and my beautiful wife, we've been long-term residents of Beaumont. And not just residents, we volunteered significantly and actively within the community since we moved here. It's always been a passion of mine, as well as my wife's. She's more involved on the school side, I'm more involved on the sports side, but nonetheless, we put our time in endlessly to make sure that we do better for the community. In addition to that, also I do a lot of coaching for my kids and other kids to make sure that we provide opportunities for our kids. Je suis aussi un candidat qui parle français, donc je pense que c'est important de mentionner cela. We have raised our rambunctious but respectful boys in Beaumont for the past 12 years, but in 2023, my wife and I said this doesn't feel like Beaumont anymore. And that's one of the reasons I stepped up and I ran for council. A lot of it relates to development and the poor planning that was behind that. But I knew that there needed to be change, so I ran in that by-election, and I was fortunate to do so because I've made significant changes in terms of development. Now, I see some developers shaking their head here, but I don't work for the developers, I work for the community. And in saying that, a couple things that I put forward, we're passing motions such as reducing total dwelling units in a single residential house from 4 to 2, requiring at least 1 parking stall per unit, increase building permit fees by an additional $250 to capture 1% tax savings for residents.
That's actually quite a pleasant sound when it goes off. Thanks, Nathan. Next up is Philip Penrod.
Bonsoir. Hello, neighbors. Thank you, Moderator Cobley, for this opportunity to speak tonight. Thanks again to the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's forum. Directors, give us a wave. Thank you to my fellow candidates for putting your names and your ideas forward, wearing your hearts on your sleeve, and most importantly, thank you to you all, 200 plus packing the community center, attending tonight, or joining us on the live stream so that you can cast considered votes in the days ahead. Not too long from today, Beaumont will mark another Remembrance Day. And this, combined with the troubling news of authoritarianism rising around the world in present day, makes me all the more grateful for these precious and hard-won freedoms that we enjoy through the sacrifices of those who've gone before us. My name is Philip Penrod, and I'm running for re-election to City Council because I know, through thousands of conversations during my 2 years on council, and because I've touched every door possible in Beaumont again this summer and fall, I know that we need to build Beaumont better. I believe we have a unique opportunity to experience. I believe I have a unique combination of experience and fresh approach that can help us to do just that. I have proven experience that will make me more effective in representing your needs and wants from the first to the last day of the next term. and I have a fresh approach to building relationships within Beaumont and across the region that will be key to meeting the challenges and capturing the opportunities in front of us. I look forward to saying more about my platform throughout the evening. In the meantime, I started with acknowledgements, and I want to finish there. As an example of how we can begin to forge better working relationships with our regional partners, I'd like to close by asking our local candidates for public and Catholic school boards to rise and be acknowledged. For Black Gold, Ward 4, Abhishek Jariwala, Christy Bergman, Kashmir Gill, Michelle Harper, Rachel Gregor-Stang, Troy Lewis, and Victoria Holloway, and Star Catholic Liz Taylor-Swa and Carmen Grayson. Thank you.
So, school board trustees, I don't know if you heard that. Stand up and give us a wave. Okay, next up is Carl Savard.
Good evening and welcome, and especially tonight, taking the time to come and spend some time with us. We appreciate it. My name is Carl Savard, and this is my first time running for office. I have been in this community for 15 years. I am a purebred French Canadian, but I'm an Albertan at heart. I'm a professional licensee, licensed with the Alberta Professional Engineer and Geoscientists of Alberta, and I have experience in civil engineering, project management, water resources, bridge construction, and land development. I'm also currently serving on the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. I am a husband and a father. The principles that I offer as part of my platform form the basis of my beliefs. These include good governance, sustainable growth, fiscal responsibility, and putting the residents of Beaumont first and foremost in all decisions. I serve to give back to the community that has given my family so much, especially the roots that we've built over the last 15 years. I've come to realize pretty quickly that it's not an easy thing to run for office, to put ourselves out there, to be a voice and an example for the community, but I'm willing to serve. I believe that civic administration is a call to serve. Most of all, I believe that the service must be completed with the greatest amount of integrity, honesty, and humility. We are going through some growing pains as a community, and together we can find the answers needed to navigate these challenges. As they say, 25,000 heads is better than 7. If chosen to serve, I commit to these principles and to do the best I can. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Last but not least, Stephen Van Newkirk.
Thank you. Growth, density, change. These are the themes of this election campaign. Transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. These are table stakes for anyone applying for the role of a city councillor. You better be committed to these 3 anchors. I sure am. My name is Stephen Van Newkirk, and I'm proud to have served as a councillor in Beaumont since the February 2018 by-election. Tonight, I'm here to share my ideas for our path forward, built on 4 pillars. First, service excellence. Growth has strained our basic services. We've all felt it. I've pushed for better delivery, from snow clearing to permitting and beyond. More improvements are required, that's clear. Second, community connections. I'm focused on strong engagement, fostering family-oriented events, and finding supports for businesses to keep Beaumont vibrant. Third, regional collaboration. By continuing to work with our neighbors, I'll boost community safety, recreation, and our business tax base, supporting local entrepreneurs. Finally, managed growth. I will make thoughtful updates to the municipal development plan and the land use bylaw while ensuring continued annual investment in the maintenance of our community infrastructure to sustain growth. As a councillor, I have consistently delivered for the community. Most recently, I proposed the creation of a community growth committee. This committee will be a place for your concerns on growth to be heard. Council will discuss funding this initiative in the 2026 budget deliberations to ensure it drives real impact. With my experience on council, I'll ensure that Beaumont grows smartly and thrives for families and businesses. Vote for Stephen Van Newkirk on October 13th and 14th, next Monday, Tuesday, and on October 20th in Election Day across Alberta. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. And sorry, I'm going to take moderator's license here. I didn't see that an old friend of mine walked in, someone who I've competed with over many elections. But I got to tell you, after every election, we were still friends. And that was the way to do politics in the municipality. I think you'll agree with that. Please give a warm welcome to Camille Barbet and his wife, Joanne. Okay, I was going to do something else along the lines of everybody who's been here more than 40 years, please stand up and give us a wave. We might do that at the end because I do see a lot of people that I remember from 1979, 1980. Can't believe I'm that old yet. Okay, so we're going to move on to a series of structured questions. Each is designed to address critical issues facing our community. Candidates have been randomly selected to respond to questions. You will have 1 minute to respond, and we ask that you stay within these time limits. Our timekeeper will provide signals to help you manage your time effectively. As we proceed with the questions, we encourage the candidates to articulate their positions clearly and concisely. Our audience is eager to learn more about your perspectives on these important matters. Just a reminder that if you do have any questions from the floor, we have ushers that will be circulating to collect your written questions. So if you have a written question you want to submit, put your hand up and somebody's going to come and talk to you. Okay, so the first question is going to be handled by Pamela, Anthony, and Stephen. 50th Street and Beaumont's main strip, and it looks, I'm not sure how this question is, and it looks rough in some areas. Fences that back onto it, especially old developer installed ones, are in poor shape. Will there be accountability or support to clean that up and make our city look cared for again? Okay, so Pamela, you're first up on this question.
Can you read it again, please?
Sure. Sorry, what? Okay. 50th Street is Beaumont's main strip, and it looks rough in some areas. Fences that back onto it, especially old developer installed ones, are in poor shape. Will there be accountability or support to clean that up and make our city look cared for again? So Pamela, you're first up, 1 minute.
Well, I think, first of all, you would have to
Use
talk
mic.
to the people. I think, first of all, you would have to talk to the owners of the land. You would have to see what the bylaw use is and collaborate, come to a solution, and make a plan to execute it.
Okay, thanks. Anthony?
Yeah, thanks. 50th Street is our main drag, and it is, its condition does reflect on our community as people pass through. I recognize that maybe some of those older fences are in poor shape. I don't know that it's really a place for the city to jump in and get on people, but we could certainly work with them. You know, reach out to those homes and those neighbors and see if there's a way to facilitate organizing a contractor to come out and work on them all together at once, you know, as a cost savings. But I don't know that it's directly the city's job to do that right off the hop. But we could certainly play a role in facilitating it and helping those individuals out.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. Where this conversation starts is determining ownership of the asset. Is it a city-owned asset? Is it a privately owned asset? And everything starts with a conversation. That's where it has to be, and that's how it will happen. For me, I would actually take a page out of the book of a good friend of mine, Stuart Houston. He's the former mayor of Spruce Grove, and he was a councillor in this last term, and he just retired. And he put together an initiative in the community to work together and have some paint and brushes and such available through the municipality, and gathered groups of people. We could take 10 of us out of this room, grab the paint and the brushes, and off we go. None of this happens without approvals, without permits, without conversations. Don't get me wrong, but I do think there's a community solution to this issue, and I think that's very important. Our community needs to be first and needs to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, next question. This question is going to Paul, Aaron, Kim, and Nathan. Red tape and regulatory delays stifle investment and growth. What specific actions will you take to reduce bureaucratic hurdles in permitting, licensing, and approvals, making it easier to do business in our community? First up is Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. This is a question I get asked quite a bit. Why does it take so long to get a permit through Beaumont? Forever. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months. They get the bylaw back and they say, refer to this bylaw. We don't help them to get through the process. We just put back on them to say, you didn't meet the bylaw. We need to go back to the bylaws, make them legible, make them easier to understand, no holes in them or anything like that. And then we need to help businesses. We need to help businesses through the process. If their sign is wrong, it shouldn't take 6 weeks to get a sign put up. And I know that because I've been through that process. It's ridiculous. 1 week in Leduc, and we take 6 weeks in Beaumont. How does that make sense for a business? We need to get back to the bylaws, we need to open them up, and we need to make it an easier process for business to be here. Thank you.
Just under the wire, Paul. Good job. Okay, next up is Aaron.
Actually, this is actually a question I've had because I have friends who have businesses in Beaumont, and they had such a hard time. And I think that there should be a business concierge, somebody who takes a new business that wants to come to Beaumont and brings them through every single step. I know that the signage bylaw is coming up in the first quarter of this year for review, and that's something huge that we need to review because there's a lot of angry businesses in Beaumont. Things should be grandfathered and shouldn't be changed in older areas, for example. So there's a lot that we can do, but it stems from exactly what Paul is saying, clear and precise way to get businesses in, that they're not wasting money on signs that they're not even allowed to use. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kim.
Thank you. I've also had a few people talk to me about permitting in a business manner, and it is taking them an extraordinary length of time, and the comparison often goes into other communities. I think that a big part of our problem with permitting is that our communication system is lacking. People who are permitting or trying to get permits aren't realizing that there are certain processes that need to be coming. They're being advised afterwards that they should have done something before. So a good list of step-by-step instructions. As well, I think we need to put our focus into more of that permitting for the small businesses here. And right now, I think a lot of our staff and administration are going towards, again, the growth thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan, you're up.
Perfect. Thank you, Ken. Yes, great question, and a lot of concerns surrounding that. Red tape, I think, is an overused term, but there's definitely barriers in place that don't make it easy for a business or a development to effectively come to Beaumont. I'll give an example really quick. I got 43 seconds here, so I'll try and wrap this one out. But in saying that, we're developing our basement. There's simple efficiencies like not being able to put your credit card on the application to pay for it. I got to go to the town office to make that happen. That's not efficient. So that's a barrier. Other ones, very simple, are we don't have an electronic permitting system. We made an attempt, we failed as a city, and we need to do better because it can be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective if we have a system in place where you can apply online and you get that quick approval, and it's something we don't have in place. So quick answer, we have an electronic permitting system.
Thank you. Next question. This one's for Bill, Elaine, Philip, and Carl. You are one of 7 votes. How do you plan to work with others on council to come to a decision? So Bill, you're first.
Thank you. Great question. as mayor, my job was to sort of balance council and help councilors put forth their ideas and then find consensus as best we possibly can. What it comes down to is sharing your ideas with your fellow councilors. Talk to them ahead of time saying, I'm thinking about this idea or this change to a bylaw or this change to our procedures, or at budget time I want to propose an idea, for example, like a cenotaph that was done this past budget. The important thing is to work with your fellow councilors, collaboratively speaking, and try and get your ideas across to them, saying what your motivation is for your change, and then you need 4 votes to make anything happen. So when a candidate says, I'm going to do this, this, or this, it's possible, but you need 3 more votes to make that happen. So part of my job as mayor was to balance that consensus. Now, going forward as a councillor, I'll have more ability to bring forth more ideas on a one-on-one basis and solicit the support of my fellow councillors with my reasoning for what's happening, why I think this vote would be important. So collaboration with fellow councillors is critically important to a successful council. Thank you.
Okay, Elaine?
Thank you. I think it's important to work with people all the time, and I do it on a daily basis. I do it in school and at work, and I believe that the reason that you have 7 people on council is because everybody brings a different aspect to a situation. So you have to listen to people, and you brainstorm together, and that's how different ideas come to the table. And then you listen to everybody's idea, and that's what you will come to a conclusion together. And then there's 7 people, so 4 went out, and hopefully in most cases, the decision would be made as a consensus, but in some cases, you know, there is a reason why there's 7 people instead of an even number, and, you know, everybody has to work together, so we'll all eventually team build and work together to bring a better Beaumont, and that's the goal here. Thank you.
Thanks. Philip?
Thank you. This has been a real learning curve for me the past 2 years on council. I've had some losses of things that I've brought forward and wasn't able to get the consensus, and some success where I have been able to work with my colleagues and find that consensus. So this connects to my first pillar, build on our strengths. Beaumont's greatest strength is our residents. We have talented, well-educated, engaged people that want to build the community better. And I think one of the things I'd like to see is a council who's out in the community and building relationships so that we can get some action, when not stand in the way of residents, when residents have a good solution to a local problem. We've heard some good ideas across the table here, and an example of that is I would want to come alongside some of those ideas, like mentioned with the Stuart Houston program in Spruce Grove. The key to doing this is staying curious, solving challenges together, and keeping communication. Staying curious, I think an example of that, what we want is a good, well-rounded team on our city council. We don't want one mindset. We want to be surprised sometimes when a good argument wins someone over to a different side.
Okay, next is Carl.
My thoughts are that that everybody is different, and no one really is going to have the same answer or the same decision, and all the decisions need to be treated with respect, to be talked with respect, and to be decided, and to let the best decision for the residents just naturally come up to the surface by providing respect, consideration for all of the ideas that come together, and consideration for the residents, and let the best idea come up to the surface, and then have the best decision possible. I think that's pretty much the only way to do it, is by being considerate and letting people understand and do that.
Thanks, Carl. Okay, next question is going to be for Pamela, Kim, and Nathan. Beaumont is one of the fastest growing cities in Alberta. How would you balance new development with preserving the city's small town character and community feel? Pamela, you're first up on this one.
So this question for me is actually something I think about a lot. I know we went from a town to a city in 2019, and I'm not sure myself that being a city is something we should have done. I think we should have had more collaboration on it, because we don't operate as a city as compared to our sister city, which is Edmonton. I I really feel for the businesses here, and I wouldn't want to take away business from certain businesses by allowing more people to come in and just sign the permits. And the same goes for developing areas like houses. So for me, I'd have to have collaboration from everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. Kim?
Okay, I think that the best way for us to sort of keep our community feel and that small town piece in Beaumont is actually to reduce some of the density housing. Where I really think we've lost track is with these new developments, especially in the areas that have that really increased density. We've lost all of the parks. We've lost all of the areas where the kids can go play soccer or do other sports or outside engagement things. They're not even there. And that's a big part of what makes Beaumont feel small and where we can feel connected to our neighbors. Yeah, in a nutshell, I think that's a big part of it. We can stick to a whole bunch of guidelines as well in, the downtown core and that we haven't done. But that's just a side. I think the community comes first.
Nathan?
Perfect. Thank you, sir. I think the answer is simple. Just say no. So we hear our residents are frustrated with this high density. And I work for the residents. As I said, developers can shake their heads or be frustrated. I understand we need to maintain a good relationship with developers. I'm not naive. But we want the developers that want to come to Beaumont and want to build the way that Beaumont residents want their city built. As I said, there's a lot of folks that I speak to that want to leave because we're turning into Edmonton. I would have moved to Edmonton if I wanted to live in Edmonton, but I wanted to live in Beaumont. So it is so important that we maintain our cultural side, but B, our development side. I support growth, but responsible growth, and it needs to be planned. This doesn't mean throwing a big apartment complex in your backyard when you paid for a certain kind of living style and lifestyle, and it surprises you. So responsible growth, and I actually mean it, and I've proven it. Not just promises, proof.
Time's up. Okay, so if you go over time, I'll give you a little bit of latitude, but if it sounds like you're going into another topic, then I'll cut you off. I'm sorry, I thought you were going into another topic. So that's why I said time. Okay, we're good? Okay, question number 5 goes to Elaine, Paul, Anthony, and Philip. Businesses and taxpayers deserve clear insight into how their dollars are spent. How will you improve the accessibility, clarity, and transparency of municipal budget reporting and financial decision making? So Elaine, you're first up.
Thank you. So I think it's important that we open the transparency in Beaumont, because right now I've been hearing a lot of concerns that people don't understand how their taxes keep going up, yet services are going down. Where is the money being spent? The population's going up, so how come people have to keep paying more? I think that if Beaumont wants to have their doors open up and show their finances, the best way to do it is where everybody's looking, which is on Beaumont Talks, on every media platform. Put it out there, show that you have nothing to hide, and that way everybody can see it. Make sure that every constituent has access to your budget and show that there's nothing to hide, and that's what people are looking for. If we are being accountable to you, the residents, then we should be showing that to you. Put it out there and make sure that it's readable to you. Make sure that every person, I don't care if you didn't even graduate grade 12, you should be able to read that budget and see where your money's being spent.
Thank you. Next up is Paul.
Yeah, this is a tough one because there is freedom of information that is sometimes has to be in chamber, and that's part of the reason I'm running. I need to know what's going on in camera. I need to know why. right? So that's a big reason for why I'm running for council first, for sure, because I want to be there and know those things. Now, accessibility and transparency. You should be able to go to the website, type in a simple word, and know who's voted for what, where. You should be able to find it within a budgetary process. You should be able to have drop-down lists in the budget that explain each parts of that budget. Not just a total, but what parts of that budget go to what. There should be drop-downs. This is 2025. This is the time when we have more AI than anything else, and you can type something in and it should be popped right down and you should find that answer, instead of having to dig through council, going down, not through council, but dig down through administration, expecting them to know what's going on, and then getting a piece of paper and having it back. No, accessibility.
Okay, Anthony?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll agree with you. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be, you need to be able to find it. It starts with the website as one. Like we all know you can't find anything on that. That needs some serious work. Try searching anything. I've tried. And I agree too with the register of who voted which way. You know, accountability instead of, you know, the videos are great for the council meetings, but to scroll through 2 hours to see who voted on what and everybody argue about it later doesn't help. But accessibility, it's about presenting it, making it available, keeping things easy. You don't need to go through barriers to get at it. It should be readily available. You should be able to find it right away. Everything should be out in the open, clear, above board. Say sunlight's the best disinfectant. Just keep everything out above board and clear and in the open. Thanks.
Thanks. Next up is Philip.
Thank you. So I guess my first part of the response is, do I think transparency is important? Yes. I say again and again in my 2 years, we're living in a low trust environment, and low trust environments require more and better communication. So am I for improving our website? 100%. Voted for it. Am I for improving our other digital tools to make services offered through the City of Beaumont more accessible and in an easier way? Absolutely. I think that's important. As far as the idea of making it very clear who voted for what, that's already in the publicly published minutes for every council meeting. I think there's more time lag there than there could be, so there's room for improvement there, and I think we want to embrace that spirit of continuous improvement. Last piece, though, what I've really noticed from knocking on thousands of doors this summer and throughout my term is that we don't need more digital engagement in Beaumont. That's a tool that amplifies our effectiveness. What we need is more face time with residents. The event we had at the library last weekend was a great start. We should do those quarterly.
Thank you. Next question. And it's going to be Bill, Aaron, Carl, and Stephen. We have heard lots of criticism of previous councils. What are your top 3 priorities in year 1 for this council? First one up is Bill.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Part of my summation would be my priorities, but I answer the question off the get-go now. My highest priority right now is, and if the new council going forward, is to get our safety campus, the MTA done in that corridor across from Extra Foods. That's going to be a huge project for Beaumont. They're going to be training bus drivers and truck drivers in Beaumont. Also, police will be training in Beaumont. It's a huge project. Will generate a lot of business tax increase for us, help our business tax base to pay for future capital projects and for operating as well. My second highest priority will be continuing working with Covenant Health to bring a healthcare facility to Beaumont. Covenant Health is a huge player in the healthcare market. They're interested in putting up a new hospital in this area, and Beaumont's on their radar. We've begun on a feasibility study with them to go to AHS to advocate for Government of Alberta to bring a medical facility here to Beaumont. What it's going to look like yet, we're not sure yet, but it's going to be something for Beaumont and the surrounding area, which is, of course, good for our residents. And lastly, get the groundwork laid for a future fire hall for Beaumont and additional firefighters. It's going to take a process to do that. We did a protective services review.
Okay,
thank you.
Time.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Aaron?
Number one is, for me, is slow down growth. We have one major resource, and that is schools. And they are busting at the seams. Didn't get an SRO, which is school resource officer, last year, and there was a need for it. Last year, the school bathrooms were all locked except for the ones by the office. There was overdoses, there was drinking, there was a knife incident, there was 5 medical emergencies, and there was nobody to supervise the hallways to help during those times. So there's definitely need for safety and for slowdown of growth until our schools catch up. In 4 to 5 years, we are going to have 2 new high schools. We don't need to have this school resource officer that long, just until we can spread out the children a little bit. Also, so secondly, I'm running out of time, so let's go with community engagement. Let's pull together so that we can take the strain off of the city spending for everything and get the projects we want.
Thank you. Carl?
I think my first priority would be to look at all the bylaws and try to close any loopholes that allow advantages to some organizations and not to others. My second priority would be to try to bring in light industrial, commercial businesses and to invite them to settle into Beaumont so that we can lessen the burden of taxes on the residential portion and have these light industrial commercial businesses help in doing that. And my third priority is a little bit more of my pet project that I started a few months ago, and is to get that 50-kilometer-an-hour speed limit by La Rêve increased to 60 in order to match the Alberta government, the Alberta transportation guidelines, and also to match the current City of Beaumont statutory documents.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a great question. And where we are at right now is we're talking about an election. After the election comes a budget. My first priority, and the first priority of anyone who is elected on this stage, is actually going to be the budget. The first thing that we need to do is make sure that we're keeping taxes as low as we can, given the community growth. In that budget, if I'm re-elected, I'll be asking for council's support on funding the Community Growth Committee. That's where the conversation needs to go from this room on growth. Also, there's going to be a big ask on approving funding for the MDP and LUB review. Get ready for a big number that you'll have to say yes to. The second piece is a strategic plan. We need to have the pillars of service, business support, and heritage anchored in that strategic plan. That matters because those are the marching orders for city administration. Last, we would invite builders and developers to Beaumont to share with them everything we're hearing in this room tonight on growth and development.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.
Okay, so join with me. I'd like to thank all the candidates for staying within their time limit. We've, yeah, and this is one section you can applaud. Okay, it says in my script we're going to take a 10-minute break. So let's be back here at 7:10, and we'll recommence with another series of questions for the councillors, as well as their wrap-up presentation. So, Lois, don't laugh. Okay, so if we could get the council candidates back up, we're going to get started in 2 minutes. It's 2-minute warning. Okay, so we're going to have 3 more questions to 3 different groups of councillors. Shh. See how that works perfectly? Yeah. Okay, it sounds like a leaking tire, but okay, so we're going to have 3 sets of questions for 3 sets of councillors. Then we're immediately going to go into their wrap-up. And then after the wrap-up, they're going to have a break so that we can reset for the mayor candidates. The mayor candidates should be starting to speak at about 7:45. Okay, so question number 7. This is for Kim, Bill, and Philip. Investment attraction requires infrastructure readiness and available industrial land. What steps will you take to ensure our municipality remains competitive in offering well-serviced industrial and commercial development opportunities? Kim, you're up.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Are you guys having trouble hearing the questions? I think it's just the way that the speakers are focused. Okay, so investment attraction requires infrastructure readiness and available industrial land. What steps will you take to ensure our municipality remains competitive in offering well-serviced industrial and commercial development opportunities? Kim?
Okay, I think a big part of that is going to be just putting some more focus into the infrastructure in that development area, especially that innovation park, as opposed to a lot of the development that seems to be focusing in areas where homes are going in the Elan and Azure and Le Rêve areas. As well, if we can get out and promote businesses, I think we actually need to approach more businesses. As an example, doctors are hard to come by here, but that's not different from any other community. I believe if we can get out and invite them, tell them Beaumont is a great place to do work and to have your business, and have the space ready and available for them, they're more likely to come in when they know that it's ready for them. Thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Thank you. The role of municipality is to make an environment open to business. Economic development people, we have 2 of them that are full-time staff. Their job, when inquiries come in about opening a business in Beaumont or in industry, they put them in touch with local landowners who are interested in selling their land to develop that particular type of business. Economic development people also go out there and try and find businesses as well too. As mayor the last 4 years, I was involved in probably 24 meetings with potential investors for the Beaumont area. Some we landed here and some we didn't. For example, the co-op development in the south end of Beaumont there across from No Frills, that was done through economic development, who put them in touch with landowners, who then purchased the land, and they developed the infrastructure there for that little commercial development. So the job of council is not to facilitate business opening, is to create an environment to let our economic development people do their job to attract business here and hopefully do investment in Beaumont. That's really the role there. So it's a bit convoluted sometimes, but that's the role of council, to enable ECDEV. Sorry, thanks.
Okay. Philip?
Thank you, Moderator Ken. So this question ties directly to my second pillar in Let's Build Beaumont Better. We spend wisely and we invest strategically. That includes protecting, pruning, and prioritizing. So we protect our core infrastructure, especially our emergency services. We prune outdated or inefficient spending, and we prioritize spending that unlocks new opportunities. Raise your hand if you're in the room and you know what serviced greenfield is. Neither did I 2 years ago. The major barrier for Beaumont attracting light business investment has been a lack of serviced greenfield, which brings me to our Innovation Park project. So the first thing that we have done, check mark, is approve the area structure plan for Innovation Park. The second thing we have done is secure an anchor tenant for Safety Campus, the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Check. The next thing we need to do is to get Treasury Board to sign off on pushing the services under Highway 625. Write the Premier with me.
Okay. All right, next question. This one's going to be for Aaron, Paul, Pamela, and Nathan. Which specific boards or councils are you or were you a part of? So I'm assuming that's also nonprofit organizations. What was your role with them, and do you have any highlights to share from your time working with them that will help you be effective on council? Did everybody hear that question? We're good? Okay. Aaron?
Well, I already said that I'm the president of the Parents Association and School Council at the high school. I'm also on the Beaumont Urban Agricultural Committee. What we're doing there is trying to bring in backyard chickens and boulevard gardens and even potentially honeybees into Beaumont to better our growing. I sat on a school board of a private school for 4 years, and I volunteered in schools for 10. I have been a youth leader, I've been a women's ministry leader, I've done so much volunteering, and the reason why I did it is to serve. That is who I am, that is what I do. I don't make money in anything that I've actually volunteered my time for, but I very much appreciate being able to help, being able to grow. I'm actually a children's book author, and my books are all lessons for children that are very complex that they can understand and teach themselves and relay. So overall, I've done a lot.
Thank you. Paul?
Thanks, Ken. Where do I start? I've served on the Community Grant Committee here. I've also been the VP of the Chamber of Commerce. I've been on the Chamber of Commerce for over 8 years. I've been the president of the curling club for the last 6 years, and I've brought it back from near bankruptcy to a flourishing and great community place now. I've started the satellite with Camille Berube over here with the satellite food bank and the Community Circle thrift store. I've presented in front of council for numerous different sporting organizations and tried to help them, like the football, Beaumont football. I definitely got in front of council and spoke to them about that. I've been going to council meetings for over 8 years. I've got a very good view of what's happening in council, and I'm there to serve. All of these committees I've been on, none of them paid me for anything. I just did it because I believe if you have to give back. And I'm a big supporter of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Pamela.
I've been on several things throughout my life. When I was younger, it was baseball, things that like events and tournaments. I've when I had my children, I volunteered at the Bow Meadow School. I did lunch program. I did, going on trips with the children. And then I also, with the children, volunteered at Beaumont Ringette. So basically, all and around my children, which I enjoyed thoroughly. And now I have more time, and hence standing here in front of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to make a joke about it's more fun to have grandkids, and if I knew the point that it was more fun to have grandkids, I would have skipped the kids altogether and just moved right to the grandkids. Sorry, I thought I was going to say that, and I guess I did. Lois, you know what I mean. Yeah. Nathan?
Perfect. Thank you, Ken. Really quick here. My wife doesn't let me go to any more AGMs for that reason. I volunteer all the time. I guess biggest role and significance within Beaumont, I think, would be my role as vice president of Beaumont Soccer for the past 8 years. I recently retired from that just because of all the commitments that I needed to put forward. But we brought that program from just under 400 up to just under 900 kids in Beaumont participate in that. Only have 35 seconds here, so the other ones, I sit on the police committee. Super important to me. I come from a law enforcement background. My dad was Calgary Police for 31 years. I also sit on the Alberta Bilingual Municipalities Association, sit on the Philip O. Memorial Scholarship Committee, and as I mentioned, it's not just me, it's my wife who's involved in the school system as well, and she heavily volunteers. But even better than that is what we've taught our kids, and we've taught them the culture of volunteering. So my boys will be floating around the neighborhood helping seniors with snow shoveling.
Great. All right, thanks, Nathan. Next question. And this is going to Stephen, Anthony, Carl, and Elaine. How would you support local businesses and attract new investment to Beaumont? Okay, Stephen, you're up.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. In my previous response, I kind of ran out of time a little bit, so I got a little bit more time on this one. So one of the first things that's going to happen is a budget. Then there's going to be a strategic plan that I alluded to. Council has one employee, that's the CAO. CAO's job is to service the community and get that strategic plan done. So what my proposal would be to anchor the pillars of the strategic plan with business supports, service excellence, and Beaumont's heritage. We've heard the need for all of those tonight. Regarding the business support piece, I don't quite know what that looks like. I know that we're going to need to engage the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to need to engage the membership, and we're going to need to look into that Beaumont concierge service that we heard about tonight. Great idea. Thank you for that. It's those kinds of ideas that are going to move business supports forward in Beaumont. Let's anchor it on the strategic plan, budget for it, plan for it, and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony.
Thank you. How would we support business and attract more business? Just look at this town. We've got a young population, an educated population. People are ready to work. We've got great access to infrastructure with the highway, the airport, the intermodal transport hub. We've got great access to telecommunications. We've got everything we need for business to start here, right? Well, we've got all the conditions, maybe except a few. And it's what roadblocks might be in the way. And we can get through those, working with organizations like the Chamber, other businesses who've set up here, finding out what hindrances did you run into, and also reaching out to the businesses who may have left, right? What challenges did you face? Did you leave? Was it us? Was it you, right? Finding out why they may have left. But we've got everything we need here to attract business. Let's just set the conditions, and I think we can do that at the council level. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Carl.
I think one of the ways is to look at the bylaws and make them more friendly for these commercial businesses to come to Beaumont. I've heard a few times now that Beaumont is not always the friendliest community-related bylaws in order to set commerce here in the city. For example, a business may come and have to go through all the hoops of putting a sign up that may or may not fit the bylaw and become rejected, and having to go to the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board in order to get reconsidered. I think there's got to be a way to look at all of these bylaws and make things a little more friendly for businesses to do what they do and to be able to service and to help our community grow.
Thank you. Elaine?
Helping Beaumont businesses is more than just bringing businesses in. We need to support the businesses that are already here. And that means that we need to provide websites for any business that doesn't have a website. And we can do this for free by partnering with schools like Nate. And also we can provide businesses business plans for anybody who's looking to start a business, because students are always looking for ways that they can get their projects completed. We need to be promoting all the services that we can do, and other things that we need to promote is actually the size of our town, because people don't realize how much we've grown and what's already here. Bringing in business by letting people know the size that we are, and we're here, we're open for business, and we want people to set up shops here. We need to be out there screaming loud that we want businesses to open in Beaumont, and we want businesses that are here to stay. We're going to do that by cutting all the red tape, moving everything online, and keeping businesses ready in Beaumont open for business.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes the question and answer period of tonight's forum for the councillors. All candidates will now have 1 minute for closing remarks. Candidates will be announced in opposite order of introductions and will have 1 minute. A reminder, you can use this time to answer a question that you were unable to respond to, or in any way that you wish, but you only have 1 minute. Okay? So, kicking it off is Stephen Van Newkirk. Go ahead.
Thank you. Beaumont, thank you. I'm Stephen Van Newkirk, your councillor since 2018, fired up to deliver service excellence, create community connections, ensure regional collaboration, and wisely managed growth. My Community Growth Committee proposal will amplify your voice. Funding's on the table for that in 2026. I'm all in on transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility, those buzzwords. Ensuring responsible tax rates and thriving businesses. This can happen together. Through regional collaboration, we'll strengthen ties to boost safety, recreation, and our economic edge. With my experience, we'll power Beaumont's growth for families and our entrepreneurs. Let's make Beaumont the best place to live, work, and grow. On October 13th or 14th at the advanced polls, or on Election Day, October 20th, vote Stephen Van Newkirk. I will keep showing up for Beaumont. Let's do this. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Next up is Carl Savard.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the candidates and all their answers. I just wanted to add one more thing to the question of red tape that was posed earlier. My experience, years ago, I served as a Water Act regulator under the Water Act that was done in 1999. And part of the process that Alberta Environment found quickly is all of the permitting that was simple and repetitive got pushed into a 14-day notification process. So if you met all the requirements, all you had to do was just complete one sheet, submit to the department, wait 14 days. If there was an issue, you would hear about it. If there was no issue, you wouldn't hear about it, and you could go and do what you need. I think we should consider doing a notification process on a lot of the permitting items that we have in this city.
Thank you. Next up is Philip Penrod.
Thanks again, everyone. My name is Philip Penrod, and I'm asking for your vote so we can build Beaumont better. My record of service shows that I am committed to continual and meaningful engagement with the residents that I represent. Over the past 2 years, I've sensed in every neighborhood a growing anxiety that we're at risk of losing something essential to the character of our little city. My response to that anxiety has become my campaign motto: let's build Beaumont better. These 4 words inform the 3 pillars of my platform. We build on our strengths, starting with our number 1 strength, our residents. We spend strategically by protecting critical services, pruning inefficient programs, and prioritizing investments that deliver real value. And we enhance existing relationships, both within Beaumont and beyond our borders. So neighbors, let's build Beaumont better isn't just a phrase, it's a guiding principle rooted in listening, learning, and leading with purpose. Merci.
Thank you. Next up is Nathan Natellenboss.
Thank you, Ken. I'll start quickly here by I have an unfair disadvantage because my last name takes a minute to say. But I think what's important is you vote Nathan Natellenboss. And people may ask, well, why are you wasting your time making a joke? And I'll tell you why, because I don't have much to prove at this point. I ran in a by-election on the campaign that I would make things better in Beaumont, and I have made significant change, especially when it comes to development and sustainable development. I talked about a few of the things: reducing dwelling units from 4 to 2, requiring 1 parking spot per unit. A lot of things that have happened that have frustrated community members would not have happened with that land use bylaw in effect. So I made significant change amongst other things. I really want to say that we are in Beaumont for a reason. I'll finish with that. I moved here for a reason, but if we continue in the trajectory that we are, a lot of folks will be leaving, and we don't want that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kim Murray.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. My main focus is to reduce the growth here in Beaumont. It's gotten out of hand, and we've all seen it. We've all been frustrated by it. My first part of that is developing or modifying our municipal development plan, which is the guideline that all our administrators use. Second part of that is adjusting the bylaws, specifically land use, so that we can make sure that apartment buildings don't go up in parking lots anymore, and that there is enough parking for everybody, just as an example. My third and most important piece that I really want to dedicate some time to is increasing our fire service. As a lot of people don't realize that we don't meet Alberta targets 90% of the time here in Beaumont, and with our growth, that becomes very dangerous. Thank you again. I believe we can build Beaumont a lot better, and we can unify ourselves for the best of everyone.
Thank you. Erin McCormick.
Children are our future and should be our priority. Seniors and citizens shouldn't have to wait 2 hours to get their blood drawn when they've made an appointment. Apartment buildings shouldn't be built in industrial areas or at all in some circumstances. I'm all for responsible growth and reasonable spending. As an advocate for community respect and support, I'm ready and eager to stand up as your voice to the City of Beaumont. I am City Council Erin McCormick, and make your vote count for change.
Thank you. Anthony Colesmith.
Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks to the candidates, and thank you guys for the questions. I think we need to refocus on the basics and ask ourselves what it is we want our city to be, right? We got a unique character here. Let's not lose sight of that along the way as we grow, right? Let's build it our way. We need leaders who are passionate about Beaumont and who are willing to bring new perspectives and willing to do the work. I've been doing the work. If you look at any council recording, you're likely to see my gray beard in there or the back of my head, because I'm attending the meetings, speaking at open forum. And we need leaders who are willing to ask the hard questions and willing to make those tough decisions. And I genuinely hope you'll take the time and you'll look at all of the candidates, read their platforms, and then I think you'll see that a vote for Anthony is a vote well placed. Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. My bad. Used to get hell for that every day in school. Next up is Pamela Henson.
I would like to make sure that if elected, that I stay accountable. That's really important to me. You know, a lot of people that run for office, they aren't accountable or held accountable. So my pledge, it means something to all of you. Like I feel that as a citizen of Beaumont and running for the council, that I need to listen to all of you people. And if I don't, then, you know, there should be a tool in our toolbox to make sure that we have to step down. So that is my promise to you guys. That's my number one thing that I want everybody to know about me. But my second thing is the fiscal responsibility. That's extremely important to me. So my thought process is, if I do get elected, I will look at that.
Next up is Paul Hyde.
Thanks, Ken, and thanks again for the Chamber for putting this on. I wish to thank you all for being engaged in this process. We are in the home stretch, and the signs will be down soon. I hope that listening to the candidates has helped you decide who represents our concerns and our interests. All the candidates up here are putting up their reputations and presence on the line because they have Beaumont's best interests at heart. So thank you all. Again, Beaumont is still a great community, but it's time for real vision. It's time to put the people of Beaumont first. We are Beaumont. We are unique. We are going to keep it that way. It's time for change. Thank you for your support.
And next up is Elaine Devine.
I just wanted to thank you all for coming out tonight. By the turnout, I think that we're showing that we all want some change, and I'm ready to bring that for Beaumont. That's the reason that I've come out and ran in this election, because I bring a background of infrastructure and construction. I know what I'm bringing is knowledge, education, and I want to show Beaumont that we are here as a city that wants change. We do not want all these developments in our backyard. We want to grow our businesses. We don't want all of the, we don't want everything to fall on the citizens to pay everything that the city is at right now. We need to grow our revenues in a different way, and that means that we need to grow our businesses right now, and that's what's most important in Beaumont. So on October 20th, if you want change, vote Elaine for change. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Last but not least, Bill Danluck.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. You love Beaumont. I love Beaumont. I love being mayor, and I'm looking forward to serving on council going forward. The last 4 years, I was laser focused on behalf of council and you on two major projects, our safety campus, as well as our Covenant Health, working with getting a medical facility for Beaumont. Those were huge projects, not quite done yet. I want to get those projects finished. Working on behalf of council and yourselves, those are two huge projects. Safety campus will bring trainees for truck driving and bus driving and policing. It's going to bring hotels to Beaumont. They'll be full every week, all year long. It's going to help us get hotels here, which is hugely important. Lastly as well, I want to make sure that I continue to work on your behalf. I'll make one simple promise to you. Every meeting, I will come prepared. Open mind, debate, review information, and make the best decisions I possibly can for all the Beaumontians, not just individual people. So that's my promise. I've done it for 8 years. I want 4 more years with your support. Hopefully I'll be successful and work on your behalf going forward. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you to all the candidates for your active participation. Yes. Thanks for staying within timelines. And audience, thank you for being respectful this evening. It makes it a real pleasure to moderate a forum. We're going to take a short break to reset the table while we transition into the second part of the evening, our mayoral forum. So we'll be back about 7:45 with the mayoral candidates. Okay, if I could get you to take your seats, we're going to get started again. It is 7:46. I know, had to get the nicotine level up. So, before we get started, I'll share a story with you. I remember one of the election campaigns I was running, and it wasn't against Camille. I'll let you know that. It was against somebody else, who shall be nameless. We were at Rogers, and anybody who's an old-time resident knows what Rogers is, right? It's the restaurant that's in the old mall. So we came out, and the fire trucks are scrambling. This is in the middle of the election. And somebody said to me, so like, I wonder why the fire trucks are going out. And I said, it's probably one of my signs on fire, jokingly. Find out later, it was, yes, one of my signs on fire that was stapled to somebody's fence. So I'm glad we don't have that. Anyway, we'll get back to why we came here. Thank you for letting me reminisce and ramble. So tonight's mayoral portion of the forum will be run similar to the councillor portion, with the same rules in place. We have randomly selected 2 mayoral candidates to answer each question. They will each have 1 minute to respond to questions directed at them. A reminder that you are still able to submit questions, and we encourage audience participation. Our volunteers are in the room handing out forms for you to submit questions. If you want to ask a question, hold your hand up. A reminder to our candidates, at the end of the questions period, you will each have 1 minute to summarize your platform, or you can use this opportunity to address a question that they may want to respond to. We will begin with our introductions of our candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and again, the timer is right over there. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, share your background, and highlight your motivation for seeking office. So first up is Scott Mann.
Hi, Beaumont. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Scott Mann. I served 22 years with the Canadian Armed Forces, 18 of those with construction engineers, where I was trained to design and run small cities. I understand infrastructure and building cities on municipal, provincial, and federal level. I know traffic flow, buildings, planning, environmental impact, maintenance, and all the laws that go with them. À cause de mon entraînement au Québec, j'ai l'expérience dans les édifices héritage. Beaumont is in an extraordinary building phase right now, and I know we need a mayor that understands what's going on and has the knowledge on how to do it right. I intend to put in place a bylaw that only allows builders with 5 years or more experience in building homes in Beaumont. This will stop the fly-by-night companies from building and disappearing. This will protect our citizens and enforce responsibility. In our empty green spaces in Beaumont, I would like to see community gardens. This will save us on grass cutting, as well as create the opportunity for greener living within our city. I would like to add a bylaw that stops or only allows a 3% increase on our tax assessments of our homes. Just because the value of our homes go up doesn't mean the cost of running the city does. As a soldier, I served Canada no matter who the leader of our country was. The mayor and councillor should serve Beaumont regardless of political, provincial or federal politics. Like soldiers, they serve our citizens, not a party. Because of my specific training and experience, I am what Beaumont needs now to secure our present and our future.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for your service to our country. Next up is Catherine McCook.
Thanks to the Chamber for organizing, and thank you, Mr. Cobley. I'm Catherine McCook, and I'm running to be your next mayor. Beaumont is in my blood. My grandparents worked this land, my mom was raised here, I graduated from the high school, and now my children, husband, and I call Beaumont home. Beaumont isn't just where I live, it's part of who I am. Et oui, je parle français aussi. I wanted to run for mayor 4 years ago, but I believe you should have council experience before taking on such an important role. So that's what I did, and that's why I'm ready to be your next mayor. As mayor, I won't have more power than your councilors, but as a full-time position, it does carry a different responsibility. I will be the main representative, the one who brings forward the values and voices of all of Beaumont. The role of mayor is about relationships and community, listening, weighing different perspectives, and bringing people together while making decisions that serve Beaumont today and into the future. And as your mayor, I'll build on that by increasing communication, sharing not just when decisions will be made, but also why, so residents feel informed, included, and heard. Beaumont has a lot of great things going for it, but it can't sit around and wait. With me being elected as mayor, I can hit the ground running on day one. I will take advantage of the relationships I've forged over the last 4 years with our administration, various forms of government, regional partners, and investors to keep projects moving forward, bringing the biggest benefits to Beaumont in the shortest timeline. I'll keep service levels at the center of budget talks, take a hands-on approach to the land use bylaw review so residents shape how Beaumont grows, and strengthen regional partnerships to build the amenities we need, like a new fire hall and rec spaces, while sharing costs to build them. I'll lead with integrity, balance, and care, and I'll always be open to new ideas that build our future while keeping Beaumont's heart at the center. I've been honored to serve as one of your councilors for the past 4 years, and I'd be honored to be your mayor. A vote for me is a vote for experience, leadership, and rooted in community. Thank you, merci.
Thank you, Catherine. Next up is Gil Poitras. Gil?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gil Poitras. Pour ceux qui ne le savent pas, je parle en français. Je suis bilingue depuis l'âge de 3 ans. J'ai grandi au Grand Sault, au Nouveau-Brunswick, où on avait la population de Français et Anglais dans le même village. I'm running for mayor this year because I've been a long-time resident of Beaumont for 34 years. I have served on council in the past, and I have served on many different community organizations, including the Water Play Park Society, the Adult Slow Pitch, the competitive soccer programs, the Lightning and the Elite. And I've also served on the Ag Society in the past. I spent a few years also on the promotion committee, bringing back to Beaumont the fair that we had lost for a number of years, as well as the fireworks that we didn't have for a few years, and I managed to find a company that could bring those back to Beaumont. My main reason for running is that we need better communication. I hear from people around the community that we do not allow them to speak and listen to what they have to say. And if they finally do reach someone, nobody returns phone calls. Nobody wants to get back to them with what their issues are, what the answers are. We need to fix that. That's part of our job as a council. Secondly, the growth. Everyone's talked about the growth tonight. We know that the growth has gone out of hand, and we need to control it. We need to change the bylaws that are required to put this back under control, where the council is the one that controls what's going on and sets the guidelines for the developers. The other thing that no one seems to talk a lot about is that we have many facilities that we need. We have a high school on the way, but with all the population growth within and just outside of Beaumont, we are going to be needing more very soon.
Thanks, Gil. Next up is Lisa Vanderkwak.
Hi, I'm Lisa Vanderkwak, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Beaumont. For the past 20 years, I've been a longtime resident and a business owner. I've raised my family in Beaumont. I've also volunteered and led in numerous boards, chaired boards, created policy, built collaborations, and built teams across this nation and even locally. I've learned that leadership is more than just a seat or a title. It's actually about having vision, courage, and compassion. That's the kind of leader that Beaumont needs now. It's exciting that so many people want to move here, but with fast growth comes real challenge. And I want to commend the current council for their efforts. But I've also heard you, the people. You have spoken loud and clear as I've gone to the doors. You're frustrated and you want real change. I do too. Beaumont is at the crossroads. The mayor's role is unique. It's not just about having a vote. It's about being a voice for the city. and bringing all voices together to collaborate and to unite around shared goals. But for too long, one key partner has been missing: you, the people. And as mayor, I'll restore that connection through clear communication on the issues that matter most. Here's my plan. Keep taxes fair and ensure that every dollar is spent well. Make sure we're on par with other municipalities. Turn around Beaumont's bad reputation for business and streamline and improve the services so it's easier and enjoyable for businesses to come here. I support collaborative development, not overdevelopment. Updating land use and growth plans to reflect what residents want, protecting our green spaces and community character. And finally, I'll improve community engagement through ongoing conversation. For the next 4 years, new voices and perspectives are critical if we want to see real change. Today, I'm asking for your trust, your vote, and your partnership so that together we can build a brighter, stronger Beaumont where everyone belongs.
Thanks, Lisa. So my story about the sign and the sign that went up on fire and the sign that got burnt on the fence, I should have actually acknowledged our long-term volunteer fire chief, John Atherton. John, you were probably not at, stand up for a minute. His volunteer service to this community is unparalleled. John, I don't think you were captain at that time, but you were probably part of the crew that responded. And for that, I thank you that you didn't burn down Jim Watt's fence. Okay, so now we're going to get into the questions, okay? The first question is going to be asked of Scott and Lisa. Beaumont is one of the fastest growing cities in Alberta. How would you balance new development with preserving the city's small town character and French community feel? The first one up for that one is Scott.
I really enjoy the fact that we're a French community, but it doesn't seem like we're actually celebrating it. We don't do stuff like Saint Jean-Baptiste Day. During the last day of during the first few days of spring, we should be doing un tir d'érable. We should be celebrating our French. We say it all the time, that we are a French community, but we never celebrate it. This needs to start to change. This will help us keep who we are. Development and growth seems like it's not going to stop. It looks like we have a 5 and 10 year plan out there that not everyone sees, but growth is happening. We do need to slow it down some. I think with my plan of putting in a bylaw to ensure that the builders have 5 years experience here will help slow that down a bit. But the city has been working hard on what they're doing, and I'm out of time.
Thank you. Next up is Lisa.
Yes, we're growing, but it's how we grow that really matters. You know, I see that we have an opportunity here to review and revise not only the municipal development plan, but the land use bylaw and all of the bylaws so that we can protect and preserve what makes Beaumont unique. Why did you move here? I know I moved here because I didn't want to be in an Edmonton. I wanted to have a different community, and that's what I'm hearing from everybody I'm talking to. So why not preserve and protect what makes Beaumont unique? And yes, plan for other density in different parts of the city, but leverage why people came here in the first place. We don't want to be in Edmonton. We want to be unique, and this we can leverage to bring more people here. So I believe it's looking at the bylaws and actually collaborating with the people, say, what do you want? And reviewing and revising it so it aligns with what the residents want.
Thank you. And just a reminder, if you're going to write a question, make sure it's available or it's a type of question that can be asked to any 2 of the 4 candidates. We can't ask a specific question of a specific candidate, okay? All right, next question. This one's going to be Catherine and Gil. Local procurement keeps dollars circulating within our communities. How will you advocate for procurement policies that balance fiscal responsibility with support for Alberta-based businesses and suppliers? And how will you commit to working with the Chamber of Commerce to let businesses know that these opportunities exist? So first off, Catherine.
Thank you. I think that's an important one, and I think this last term we worked on that. we brought forward a procurement position, and that position is going to look back at all our procurement policies and make sure that we are on board with collaborating with Alberta businesses and more local businesses. I also think in working with the Chamber, that goes back to the communication and relationship building pieces. Those are things that we really need to get back to doing. We need to work more closely with some of our business associations and community groups so our voices in Beaumont are heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Gil.
As far as procurement, working with the Chamber is one thing that we need to do immediately. We need to give our local businesses an opportunity to bid on our city contracts. We need to give them an opportunity to bid on anything that we're trying to purchase. I've heard from a number of businesses that say they can't even get in the door right now. They're not being considered. We're giving contracts to people from outside of our community when we have businesses here that could do the job for the same price or even lower. That's what we need to do, is open the doors to our local businesses first, and then go outside into, within Alberta, but within the region. We keep saying shop local, but if as a city we don't shop local, we're not doing our jobs.
Thanks, Gil. Next question is for Catherine and Scott. Safe, well-serviced communities are central to economic prosperity. What investments in public safety, transportation, and core infrastructure will you prioritize to support community and business vitality? First one up for that answer is Catherine.
Me first again. Yeah, I think those core services are key to how our city grows and to how our city functions. One of the first priorities I will do is looking at a new fire hall. That is something that we desperately need, and that'll be one of my main focuses on our capital budget as we look forward. In addition to that, I think that's where our regional partnerships will come in. We need to look at our regional partners, such as Leduc County. I know they need fire services, and how can we work together to build the things that we need? Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Scott?
Yeah, I totally agree. Fire hall is an important thing, and we need to work on that. I believe it's actually in our 5-year business plan that it's there. But I would like to see policing. I would like to add in more of bylaw enforcement officers, municipal police force. I do know that the province has put in a pilot program where the municipal officers have taken over some of the responsibilities of the RCMP, which allows them, the RCMP, to do more work. I think we should be part of that pilot project that's going on, and this will help enforce and allow us to hire more peace officers. I think it's a great program, and I think that's the only way we have to go forward.
Thanks, Scott. Next question is for Lisa and Gil. Beaumont is growing exponentially, but the business community isn't. What are your thoughts on capping residential development and focusing on business development? Lisa, you're first up.
I love this question because that is my platform, is that one of the first things I would do is see how we can actually pause the development that's happening right now, review and revise the plan, and then have a very intentional focus in the first year to actually attract businesses to Beaumont that we need and services, so we can do a double up. For example, if there's a business that can provide a clinic, there's a lot of doctors and nurse practitioners who actually want to work in Beaumont. They just don't want to run their own business. So if you have an investor in a business that can set up a clinic alongside of that and then invite those services in, now you have a double whammy. We have a service provided and we have a business to offset residential taxes. We need to be intentional and we need to be focused.
Thank you. Gil?
When I moved here 30 years ago, we had 95% housing, 5% commercial. Today, we have 95% housing, 5% commercial. All the businesses that we brought into town has only kept up to the same level. It's never increased. We need to go above and beyond anything we do to attract businesses, and we have to look after light industrial. That is where we can really help our base, our tax base, is by finding light industrial companies that are looking to build expansions. I know there are some within Leduc. I work for one of those companies that within a few years, they're going to have to build a new facility. We need to get those facilities to move here. It will employ a number of people, and it will help our tax base. Just cutting out the development is just not always feasible, but we have to look at the business side.
Okay, next question is for Gil and Catherine. What's one change you'd make to improve transparency and communication between City Council and residents? Gil, you're up.
I like this question. This is one of the biggest issues I hear at the door every day. We need to open up the council chambers. When I was on council years ago, we had one of the most open council chambers ever in this town. We had councillors that knew what people wanted because we talked to them on a regular basis. They came to us. My kids hated going to the grocery store because I never got home in time. We need to open up the doors. We need to let them know what it is that we are talking about before we make a decision. When it comes to the budget retreat that comes up in November, when I was on council, I wanted to change that process so the people had more of a voice. You need to know what it is we're going to be talking about in the budget before we make a decision on it. I want to open up even more where you will have a list of things that we're going to be discussing each day, and the night before, you have an opportunity to come and talk to us and give us your opinion before we make a decision on anything of your money.
Thank you. Catherine?
Thank you. One of my pillars is building connection and confidence in local government, and I think that ties back to communication. You know, I've heard often from people, nobody wants to fill out another survey. And sometimes it's intimidating to come to council chambers and have to present everything. So we need to find other avenues to connect with our residents where they're at. We have to look at different ways. Podcasts, for example, potentially a newsletter where people can come and find out what happened during that month, during the council meetings, and what's coming up. Because I think Gil spoke to it, and I spoke to it myself in my opening. Understanding what decisions are coming up is really important to residents. I've heard that, and I think that's a communication piece that we really, really need to bring forward, is the when things are happening, what's happening, and then why decisions are made. And I've done that through my time on council as well.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Next question is for Lisa and for Scott, and it's a question that's submitted from the audience. Beaumont residents vocalize anti-development and low-density housing as a priority. So how will you specifically reduce taxes for residents? I'm thinking given the previous statement. Lisa?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
I sure can. Beaumont residents vocalize anti-development and low-density housing as priority. So how will you specifically reduce taxes for residents?
So you're saying they vocalized they didn't want the density and the low housing?
The way I read it is that the Beaumont residents are anti-development,
right,
and they want low-density housing. So given that, how will you specifically reduce taxes for residents? I'm just sort of
You're just reading it.
trying
Gotcha.
to interpret what the person said.
Awesome. Well, I think we need to listen to the people. If people don't want it, then we need to come together and say, what do you want? And how can we facilitate having different kinds of options? Because not zero lot lines and really skinny houses work for everyone. I've talked to young adults who are starting out. They're saying we're doing everything we can. We're saving money. We're working. We can't buy a home. Those are not affordable. I know in St. Albert, they made some low-income housing or affordable housing, we put it that way, but they were seamless. They really integrated well into the character of the community. They weren't these different-looking buildings. So we need to have some more options that we can offer to the different people that need different ways of investing or different houses that they want. And as far as lowering the taxes, I think we need to do a comparison to see how we stack up with other municipalities that are similar to ours, because I believe that if our taxes are the only money stream, then we cannot sustain this.
Okay, Scott?
Hey, well, I'm going to think out of the box. I really, really think we should take a page from the Indigenous communities. We should open up a corporation that will run businesses for us. We invest in businesses. So what we do is the city will open a corporation that runs independent of the city. Those profits from the businesses they have, I do know of communities that have bought every Jiffy Lube out there. They own fast food restaurants, and those profits come back to the community, which will help us with our taxes. I really think we got to start thinking, because for the last 16 years, people have been talking about bringing in more industry, and it doesn't seem to be happening. So what we need to do is look outside of the box, look what's working for other places, and try it. I don't see any backlash on this. I think it's a really great idea that we follow what other communities have been doing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Here's another question from the floor. This one's going to go to Catherine and Lisa. There is a perception that administration runs council. How do you view that relationship, and what will you do about it? You're up, Catherine. Did you both hear the question?
Yeah, thank you for that. I've been here for the last 4 years, and I've personally seen how dedicated our administration is. However, I've also heard loud and clear that there is frustration there, and we have to acknowledge that, and we have to look inward and say, what is the issue, and what can we do about it? But to be clear, council has one employee. That is our CAO. So that is the one person that we can look to and say, hey, these are the problems we're having with our administration. That contract will be coming up in this term, and I think as mayor, I will be pushing for an open process to look at who the best person is to run our city, because I think that's important. I think we need to listen to the residents and ensure that we have the best person for the job in that main position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
I agree. From the outside looking in, it certainly seems that way, and I think that's where it created a lot of mistrust in our community, because there has not been that transparency, and there has not been evidence to say that the CAO works for the council, but the other way around. And so it's really important for us to explore that and to make sure that we have clear understanding of the job roles and descriptions and who does what. And I think to Catherine's point, it is really important to make sure that the right person is in that position. And so if I was the mayor, I would definitely review that to make sure that everything is working in a healthy way between the council and the CAO, and of course when the contract is up, to do that proper review. I would also want to see more KPIs that we're keeping the administration accountable, so that we know full well what is happening to our tax dollars.
Okay, thank you. This one's for Gil and for Scott. With a young and diverse population, what are your ideas to enhance recreation, arts, and cultural opportunities in Beaumont? Gil?
This is an area that we've talked about a lot over the years. For 20 years now, I've been pushing for a multiplex that includes all different sports and cultural activities within one facility, instead of building small facilities that as soon as they're built, they're too small. We need to work with the county, with all that population growth that's coming to Beaumont, and what we're growing here in Beaumont. We need to work with them. We need to work with the province. The last time I ran for mayor, I had 2 provincial organizations that were willing to move their offices into that building because they would get everything they're looking for that they don't get elsewhere. We need to work with other organizations from around the province and around the region to move their offices into this building to help us pay for it, so that we don't have such a tax burden. The Drama Club, for one, has been waiting for over 34 years for a facility, and we keep saying, we'll do it with the next one, we'll do the next one, and we're still waiting. We need to do more into one larger facility to please everyone.
Thanks, Gil. Scott?
Well, I'm going to go back to a few questions ago that was asked with the last group of people. I think we can use our arts community like they did when the windows got broken on Main Street, to paint those fences, to make beautiful designs, to help show our diversity in there. I also think that during Beaumont days, when we have our music up on Main Street, we should be showing the kids that sing, our community people out there. Get our young, there's 2 bands within the schools that we could be focusing on to help them and make them move forward. I think we should be promoting ourselves within. Our arts and our arts community is a big part of who we are, and we should allow that to develop. We should allow them to go in and the skate park. And another thing I'd like to do, there is a lot of people out here that want to help our kids. I've heard from mechanics that said they'd like to teach kids at night, to bring them in, to show them stuff. There's lots of different stuff, but we actually have to ask our community what they're looking for. It's easy for me to sit up here and tell you what I think.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, this next question is such a good question. I'm going to take moderator's prerogative, and I'm going to ask it of all of you, okay? Ooh, a plot twist. Okay, so it's like watching Big Brother. I could carry on with that joke, but I won't. What are your top 2 leadership qualities that make you the #1 choice for mayor? I'm going to start off with Lisa.
Me, okay. Well, I've spent 30-plus years developing leadership skills on numerous kinds of boards, from nonprofits to professional associations to business associations, and as well as government. And the top skills I have are actually leading teams and problem solving, to be able to see where there's a problem and create a solution for it. To be able to find solutions where there doesn't seem to be a solution is a skill that I have developed, because I am able to see things beyond what is in front of me. So I would say those are my top 2 skills: is relationships, negotiation, being able to work with teams of various kinds, and being able to find solutions, creative ways that seem out of the box, but that work, and that creates a win-win for everyone involved.
Thank you. Next up is Gil.
Firstly, I used to supervise 135 staff members through numerous different sites. It took a lot of coordination, a lot of cooperation with the different people we had on the different sites. Secondly, with the different groups that I've worked with in town, the one thing we always did was I would put an idea on the table and say, okay, we have a problem. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you guys have? What part of this works and what doesn't work for you guys? And by the time the board went around and made all the changes that they saw would improve that particular situation, we'd have a final product that everybody agreed upon, and then we moved ahead with it. And very, very rarely did it not work, because everybody had an input. It's the same thing on council. We need to make sure that we listen to you, the public, get the facts from the administration, put all of that together, and as a group, make a final decision as to what is best for our community.
Okay, thank you, Gil. Catherine?
Thank you. So part of my background is that I've worked in nonprofit, now government, as well as corporate. So I've worked across the board with a lot of different teams. Currently, I'm a leadership and performance coach as well. Some of my strengths, my 2 biggest strengths, I would say, for a leadership role as mayor would be I'm strategic, which means I come and I'm prepared. I know who I need to talk to, I know the questions I need to ask, and that's part of some of my background, is knowing the questions that you need to ask to get the information you need. And lastly, I would say that I'm also empathetic, and that is something that I know community has heard from me, and I know that a lot of the feedback that I've received is people feel heard when they speak with me, and I know how to rebuild relationships, and that's part of the teamwork piece.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
I guess I can go with my simple answer as I retired as a warrant officer, but a leader to me, the best leaders I've worked for are people that know that they don't know everything, that they'll go out and find the answers. They're not scared to say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you, and they always get back to you. I also see good leaders as people that develop the people underneath them to take over the place that they had. A leader is the first on the ground and the last one to leave. This is quite common. They need to know their arcs of fire, and they need to show people and lead from the front.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for Lisa and Gil. Based on the Beaumont 2025 budget, the revenue from taxes, that's property and requisitions, make up 2/3 of the revenue, totaling $41 million. Our property taxes are one of the highest in Alberta, and there's a little squiggly mark and says 0.9% of house value. Not sure what that, anyway. While we don't even have health care in the town, what are your plans to reduce taxes while planning for the future of this town? Lisa, you're first up.
So I want to piggyback on something that Scott said earlier in terms of finding other streams of income. It seems to be the only place that the town or the city is looking to create income to pay for things. But I would also want to look at where our tax dollar money is going. There seems to be a lot of different things that are being funded that we have no clue about, and so we need transparency. And maybe there's some things there, I suspect there's some things there that we can cut, that we can say, you know what, this really doesn't directly benefit the people of Beaumont, so that's not a priority. And begin to reallocate funds to be able to first take care of the people of Beaumont, the services that we need. There seems to be a lack in one way, but yet we have a lot of money coming in. So we need to find other streams of income by offsetting our taxes with being intentional about bringing in business, but also about finding wasteful spending.
Thank you. Gil?
There's only two ways to reduce taxes, or at least control them. One, as Lisa said, is to find a new stream of income. That's commercial, that's light industrial. But mainly, the first thing we do in November is look over the budget. I believe there's places in that budget that there's information missing. We need better detail of what it is we're spending our money on, and make sure that the money we're spending is wisely spent. And then find out the things that are not being done properly, or that we're wasting too much money on certain things that we could improve upon, and fix those. We need to dissect that budget inside and out to make sure that we're spending the money wisely on your behalf. I used to be in finance, and I also used to be a mortgage broker. I've helped families do that for their houses to save their house before they lost it. We need to do the same thing for this city. We need to dissect our budget and make sure we're spending the money wisely.
Thank you. Next question is for Scott and Catherine. Municipalities are increasingly taking on programs beyond their legislated mandate. How will you ensure our municipality focuses on delivering only those services and initiatives required on the Municipal Government Act, and resist stepping into an area where projects are determined to be provincial or federal? And I guess if the province or federal backs away from their funding on it. So in other words, stepping into an area. That's for Scott and Catherine. Scott, you're first up.
I'm a pretty black and white guy. If it isn't our role, it isn't our role. It's easy, and all of the council should agree. We don't want to spend money. Everybody's talking about reducing taxes. So if we step into somebody else's lane, it's going to cost us money. You can't provide services without taxes going up. It's just the way it works. To get taxes down, you have to cut services most of the time, or look for different revenues, like I've already suggested. All of council should already know that, and everybody there. Stepping outside of your arcs of fire isn't the way a government should work. It always ends up with a problem.
Catherine?
Thank you. I think one of the main things is, it's not the sexy thing, but we have to focus on the must-haves first. There are always the nice-to-haves, but the must-haves, like our infrastructure, our water, our sewer, those are the things we really need to focus in on first. As far as stepping out of our boundaries, I think sometimes it's a little bit about balancing. Our health needs assessment is a good example of that. We heard loud and clear from our residents, what are you going to do about health? How are you going to help us about health? And we said, we've advocated, we've pushed for it, but residents wanted more. So we put forward a health needs assessment. Data from that health needs assessment helped us bring forward the Covenant Health business case. The government of Alberta said, hey, look, Beaumont, you're doing a great job and you're highlighting the need for health in your community. And that helped bring forward that health business case. So sometimes it's a little bit necessary to get that extra push.
Okay, thank you. Next question is for Lisa and Scott. Multi-generational homes are great in theory, but when there are 5 to 6 cars parked on one street, it becomes dangerous for kids who play outside. How can we make streets safer without punishing families? Lisa?
Well, we have to make sure that the bylaws are in place and also enforcement. I think there's a big problem in Beaumont right now, and I'm hearing it over and over and over as I'm talking to people, and that is bylaw enforcement. There's a lot of things that are happening in our city that should be taken care of, but because we don't have the bylaw enforcement, it's not. And it's creating a ripple effect. It's now making it feel unsafe for families to go outside with their children and, garbage, whatever it might be. So we need to first look at what do we need to do in order to get the enforcement to help people to have safer surroundings? And what do we need to do to actually increase the number of bylaw enforcement officers that we have and make sure that they are doing their job, patrolling, not just being called, but actually going out and seeing where there's violations.
Okay, Scott?
Yeah, the vehicles on the road issue is a huge one in a lot of places. You can't even get your car through it. So it's going to be hard not to punish people. I think we should take a page from another city. I do know that Toronto, you register 2 cars to each house. Every other car that is registered, if it's going to be parked on the road, has to be paid for. I know it's not a great answer, but it'll force people into their garages, it'll force people into their driveways. The thing is, if every car gets registered, 2 of them are free, 2 of them you get in, every household gets 2 cars, but otherwise it's a system that you have a sticker in your car that's connected to your license plate, so they know every car that's there. And anybody that's on the road that shouldn't be will either get ticketed or nothing will happen. It's just the way it happens.
Okay. Next question is for Catherine and for Gil. Traffic congestion and road safety are ongoing concerns. What are your priorities for transportation infrastructure and traffic flow improvements? So, Catherine?
Thank you. Well, we have a transportation master plan, and I think that's something that we need to focus on and we need to look at. And those are things that we've continuously done. I believe our master plan is due for an update, especially as we've seen more and more development. Moving traffic flow is important, and it's important to our community. So that's something we definitely need to look at. I will ensure that we look at that master plan moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Gil?
One of the biggest issues is 50th Street going north. We're at a jam up now because the city didn't expand their road when we expanded ours. We have to try to talk to them again to see if they can find a way to expand that road sooner rather than later. That means negotiations. We have to talk to them. We have to try to convince them to make it so that it helps them, show them that we have so many people coming into the city that it's to their advantage to get them into the city and out of the city faster. It's a hard discussion, but this is something that we have to try over and over again until we get an answer from the city. As far as the rest of town is concerned, as Catherine said, the master transportation plan needs to be reviewed. We need to look at it and see if we can find new ways to move traffic around town rather than have all the traffic coming through town that is not coming to town. If we can find some of the roads, whether it's 510 or 241, that gets connected to the roads on the outside, then some of that traffic will not be coming through town.
Thanks, Gil. Okay, here's a question from the floor again. Building complexes in Beaumont. Who is responsible for making bylaws? Who is responsible for changing bylaws? And why have these people not read or kept up with loopholes? And the first person I'm going to ask is Lisa.
From my understanding, it's the council's job to create the bylaws, to make the bylaws, or pass the bylaws, I should say, and then from there, administration to implement all that goes along with that. So from what I have learned is that there have been some bylaws removed from our master plan in that regard that have allowed certain things to happen in our city, such as a development. So if a house burnt down next to you in your neighborhood, they could build a fourplex right beside you right now. So we need to put those bylaws back in place to protect and preserve what makes Beaumont unique and actually be more strategic about our planning.
Sorry,
Is that?
I just got
Oh, okay. Sorry.
coughing up a lung.
I thought you were interrupting for something.
No,
Okay,
just trying to clear
that's
my
it.
throat. Did you want to start over, Lisa, since I interrupted you?
No, I'll just add that it is really important for us to really review and revise the bylaws as one of the first things that we do as whoever gets in, and that'd be one of my first priorities for sure.
Okay, thank you. Scott?
City Council is responsible for all of our bylaws. We all know that. And the implementation of those bylaws go for peace officers that do it for us, and sometimes the RCMP, I hear. But we need to look at our bylaws. We need to revamp some of our bylaws. There should be an overhaul for sure. There is some stuff homeowners can't do that they should be. I have a small 3-foot fence in my yard, and I can't put a pool in because it's a 3-foot fence put in by the city or the contractor. So bylaws definitely fall on the heads of everyone sitting on council.
Okay, thanks. Next question, again from the floor, is for Catherine and for Gil. How would you control development when there is a need for housing? Catherine?
Yeah, I think over the last couple of years and throughout this campaign, I know I've heard a lot of concerns about growth. I hear you, and frankly, that's exactly why I'm running for mayor. This next wave of growth is going to be important as to how we manage it. So we're going to have to look at that land use bylaw review. That will be one of the main things and something that I will focus in on. One of my first things that I do as mayor is look at that land use bylaw review, because that will give Beaumont the opportunity, the residents of Beaumont, the opportunity to have a say in how Beaumont grows. As well as that, we'll have to bring in our design standards to be able to weave through some of that French character throughout our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Gil?
We need to look at what we want to see in our community for different developments. We've allowed developers to make all the decisions. They walk in and they threaten council all the time. They've been doing it for as long, from the time I was on council till now. I heard it again a few months ago when I went to a council meeting. They believe if they threaten you enough, you'll give them whatever they want, otherwise they're going to leave. We don't need to give in to them. We need to set out some real guidelines that we want to see in our community. We need to let them know this is how we want our community to develop. I've already had a chat with one developer, and he wasn't happy about some of the things that I said. And I said, the second thing that I'm hearing most at the door is that the people of this community are fed up with the developments that you're bringing in. They want better from you. And that's what we need to do. We need to sit down as a community, as a council, work with the administration, work with what you want to see within our community, and come up with the final plan.
Thanks. Okay, next question for Lisa and Scott. Let's see. Okay, so a two-part question, okay, for bonus points, a two-part question. No, you still only get 1 minute. Okay, the questions are, what is your primary role as a municipal councillor? And what is your perspective on communicating with residents through social media? Everybody's favorite topic. And that is Lisa and Scott. Lisa, go ahead.
Your primary role is to set, well, as a mayor, it is to set the vision, and the council to set the vision for the town in collaboration with the people, and then to begin to also set policies and to direct the administration to implement those policies and direction and implement the vision as well. And sorry, what was the second part for the bonus point?
Sorry, what?
What was the second part for the bonus point?
What is your perspective on communicating with residents through
Right.
social media?
I think we need to use multi-modalities to communicate with residents because we have a variety of different generations at work here. Some are technical, some are not. We need to use online social media through YouTube, through newsletters, through the portal. We also need to use in-person think tanks or town halls or actually just opportunities on a quarterly basis to come, ask questions. We need to use a variety of methods to be constantly communicating, but not just to, but feedback from.
Thank you. Scott?
Now I need to hear the first question.
Okay,
I got the
somebody's
second
going to
one.
be buying me Tim Hortons coffee and donuts. What is your primary role as a municipal councillor, and what is your perspective on communicating with residents through social media?
The role of council is to listen to its citizens who elects it and move on with that plan. Follow what's better for Beaumont, develop a 5 and 10-year plan, and keep us on track going in there to ensure that our laws protect our citizens and help promote better living. Social media is amazing. I think everyone should be using it. I think our platform needs to be changed a bit. I think that information needs to be passed better, like our fines. The RCMP have been doing it, not here, but the RCMP have been doing it to show the citizens what we're doing. So if they find a contractor, if they find somebody, it'll go up there. You'll be able to click on little tabs, and we should have drop downs that show you everything that's going on. It's part of how we should be operating. I do understand the city website is horrible right now. I have a hard time managing it myself. So we just need to invest a little and get it out so everyone can see it. I think we should use every level of media that's out there.
Thanks, Scott. So when are the Tim Hortons donuts arriving? Okay. All right, this is the last question, so hang in there, folks. We're almost done. Last question, and then we have the wrap-up presentations from the candidates. This one's for Catherine and for Gil. Businesses are faced with rental rates similar and higher to high-density areas of Edmonton, White Avenue, Jasper Avenue. If you limit growth in density, how do you support businesses who require high traffic to survive? So the first one gets to answer. This is Catherine.
Thank you. Yes, that is an ongoing issue for our businesses in Beaumont, and that's not necessarily a council thing, is the rents. We don't set the rates, but it does go back to relationships. We can go back and have those relationships with the landlords to be able to try and lower those rates. I also think that's why I've been a big vocal supporter of our development team, and I've really pushed them to focus on our vacancy rates and on working with businesses. And in doing so, they lowered our vacancy rates from 20% to under 8%. In addition to that, I also think that density is important. There is a role for it to play for our businesses. We can't just say we're going to pause growth and think that our businesses will be successful and that we'll continue to get investment. We have to have some density to be able to service those businesses in our areas. And in doing so, I think planned density is the key, knowing where it's going to go so our businesses can be serviced.
Okay. And Gil?
As Catherine said, we can't control what the landlords are going to want to charge to the businesses, and they are high. I've heard a number of companies telling me that they've moved their businesses to Edmonton or Sherwood Park because the rates here are so high. We need to try to work with the developers, the landlords that own those particular developments, see what we can do to try to convince them that as a community, we need those businesses. But at the same time, the high rates are really forcing some of them out of town. And it's limited what we can do because they have their business to run as well. But at the same time, as far as the growth is concerned, we need to continue with the growth, but it has to be proper growth. We have to control it in a way where it's going to keep increasing, and at the same time giving more people for these businesses to have customers from. I know talking to some of the businesses in town, that has been one of their major concerns, is there's not enough foot traffic. And somehow we've got to help them to try to improve on that.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes the question and answer period of tonight's forum. All candidates will now have 1 minute for closing remarks. Candidates will be announced in opposite order of introductions and will have 1 minute. A reminder that you can use this time to answer a question that you were unable to respond to or in any way you wish, but you only have 1 minute. So starting with Lisa.
Let's face it, Beaumont is at a crossroads. We need real change. And I'm not here to maintain the status quo. I'm here to take action and to help Beaumont move forward in collaboration with the council, administration, but you, the people. We need a city hall that plans ahead, spends wisely, and focuses on what truly matters: safe streets, reliable services, and a strong local economy. I believe in a Beaumont where families feel safe walking at night, where seniors are supported and celebrated, and where local businesses can thrive without drowning in paperwork. I believe in this city. I believe in you, the people. And I believe the best days are still ahead. But real change has to happen first. And real change begins when everyday people like you believe your voice and vote matter. Once again, I'm asking for your trust, your vote, and your partnership. Vote Lisa Vanderkwak as your next mayor of Beaumont. And together, we can build a brighter, stronger Beaumont where everyone belongs.
Thank you. Gil?
For me, as a long-term resident of Beaumont, I've talked to people for a lot of years. The last 20 years, I've been talking to people every 4 or 5 years whenever these campaigns have come up, and a lot of things have not changed. People want to be heard. I want a council that the doors will be wide open so you can be heard, and we are here to represent what you have to say. We need to make sure that we control our growth, but we cannot stop it. We have to continue forward. We have to work with the economic prosperity for the town, which means more businesses. We need to look at light industrial very severely and help bring those businesses to town. We have to look at our public safety. We have a number of buildings that we need to get built. The fire hall is one of them. We're going to need more schools. We're going to need more care all over the board. So on October 20th, I ask for your support as Mayor of Beaumont. Thank you.
Catherine?
Thank you. We've heard a lot of stuff up here today and throughout the campaign, and what I can tell you is that I've sat at the table for the last 4 years, and I know how tight our budget is. But I also know how hard we've worked on certain initiatives that are still in progress and that could benefit from continuity to continue. What you're not going to hear from me is a lot of promises, but I'm also, because I'm keenly aware of their challenges, and I'm only one vote, and I know I need to work as a team. What you will hear from me is that I promise to communicate, and I promise to listen closely and be a champion for Beaumont. Someone asked me recently if I was okay with the status quo, and my response was no. That's why I'm running for mayor. I'm an optimist, and that is why I've committed to, and I'm proud to say, I've run a positive campaign, and my commitment to you is to continue that optimism and passion for Beaumont for the next 4 years. Throughout this campaign, we've heard some negative things about Beaumont, and I acknowledge that there is change that's needed. But I think overall Beaumont is a fantastic place to live. I'm proud to live here, and there's no other place that I'd rather lead. Thank you. Vote McCook for mayor.
Thank you. Scott?
Well, I spent 22 years fighting for Canada, and I would like to spend the next 4 fighting for you guys. I believe in accountability. I won't pass the buck. It definitely falls. Everything that happens in Beaumont falls on council. I'm not going to say it's admin, it's us. I believe in integrity. I believe in doing the right thing for everyone. I'm not going to keep you as much longer. You've been here all night. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks for sitting through all this. Have a good night.
Thanks, Scott. That means I have more time to talk. Thank you. No, just kidding. Just kidding. So thank you to all of our candidates for taking the time to be here tonight and for the thoughtful, respectful discussion we've had throughout the evening. Whether you're running for mayor or council, your willingness to step forward and serve your community is truly commendable. It takes courage, commitment, and a lot of hard work to put your name on a ballot, and we appreciate each of you for doing so. I'd also like to thank everyone in the audience, both here in person and those joining us live stream, for your participation and education. Your questions and attention show how much you care about the future of Beaumont. And I'm going to go off script here for a minute. I'd like you to thank Julie, who has moved on from her position as Executive Director to Tourism Alberta, and she's come back to help Jennifer, the new Chamber ED, with this forum. It's a big event to put on. So ladies, thank you. And finally, thank you to the City of Beaumont for sponsoring the live stream and helping us share this important community conversation with a wider audience. Thanks to my friends at Infinite Events. They're always pros to work with. At this time, I'd like to invite Ron Hanchurak, President of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, to offer a few closing remarks. Ron?
Thank you very much, Ken. On behalf of the Beaumont Chamber of Commerce, I want to extend our sincere gratitude to everyone who has joined us this evening. To our candidates, thank you for sharing your ideas, your energy, and your vision for the city. To our residents and the business community, thank you for showing up, asking questions, and staying informed. Forums like this are a reminder that democracy does work, which is best when people are engaged and respectful in dialogue, just as we've seen tonight. Ken, I found that missing piece of paper for your intro. Do you guys want to hear it? No, I know you don't. Just so you know, we appreciate all the questions we've received from the floor this evening. The Chamber will take all the questions and forward them to the candidates. Responses will be displayed on our Chamber website. So thank you again to the moderator, Ken Cobley, to the City of Beaumont for their partnership, and to the incredible Chamber team, volunteers who made tonight possible. Best of luck to all the candidates as we head toward Election Day, and thank you for being part of this important conversation for Beaumont. Have a wonderful evening and safe travels.
Oh, you're welcome. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Yeah, best of luck.